Daddy, I don't like the way Uncle Teddy talks to me and touches me whenever he comes for my home lessons. I no longer want the lesson. Please ask him to stop coming. Eh? Tari, do you want to be useless forever? What is your problem, this girl? That man is only trying to help you, and here you are making things up just to make us stop your lessons. You will continue that lesson whether you like it or not. Hmm. If you are wondering how things got to this point, then stick with me. Let me take you to the very beginning. In the quiet city of Ku lived a girl named Tari. She was 8 years old and lived with her parents, Mr. Audu and Mrs. Kati. Tari was a very beautiful girl who was admired by all for her pretty eyes and sleek hair. But Tari's parents hated one thing about her. She wasn't as bright as her mates in school. While other kids laughed and played and answered questions with ease, she often struggled because she never seemed to understand anything being taught in class. When she tried to read, the words looked like heaps and heaps of letters that made no sense. Numbers also confused her. She was always last in the class, and this brought great shame to her parents, especially when haters mocked them for birthing a beauty without brains despite their success. Her father, Mr. Audu, was a proud man who believed success was a child's only way of rewarding their parents' efforts. He also boasted to friends about how he was an exceptional student during his time in school. He talked about how he won numerous competitions, awards, and scholarships, and he didn't expect anything less from his child. Tari's mother, Mrs. Kati, was also a successful businesswoman who didn't have time for slow children. To them, Tari's poor academic performance meant disgrace. They also compared Tari to other kids her age who they felt were doing better than her. They would scold her severely every time she came home with poor grades, but they never really had time for Tari's education. They only made sure to clear her fees as and when due, but never had the time to sit with her and discuss the challenges she was facing in her academics. They didn't even attend parents' meetings in school because they were an extremely busy couple. Mr. Audu was working with an intercontinental brand, and his job required that he traveled a lot. Mrs. Cathy, on the other hand, ran a big boutique. She shipped her wares from China, Turkey, and Dubai. So she was always either on a plane traveling outside the country to buy goods or in her shop attending to her rich customers. She usually left Tari in the care of her nanny, Auntie Bella. After noticing Tari's poor performance in school, one of her school teachers, Uncle Teddy, a tall, neat man with a smooth voice and shiny shoes, offered to give Tari private lessons after school for a fee. He met with Mrs. Cathy in her boutique and told her about the lesson, and she immediately accepted without hesitation. Tari is too dull for my liking, she said. I can't believe I birthed a dull kid like her. Please use any method. Just fix her. Uncle Teddy smiled. Leave her with me. I know how to handle such kids. You don't have to worry, ma. I'll do a great job. They concluded on the pay, and Uncle Teddy started the lesson the following day. And so it began. At first, the lesson seemed normal. Uncle Teddy would make her read aloud, write letters, and repeat numbers. He would gently pat her back when she got something right. But soon, the pats turned into touches. He would make her sit on his lap and hold her for too long. Then he would slide his hands beneath her dress and touch her private parts. Sometimes he whispered things she didn't understand. She started feeling very uncomfortable with Uncle Teddy's presence in their house. She longed to tell someone about what Uncle Teddy was doing to her, but she couldn't out of fear. He had sworn to kill her if she as much as breathed an air of what was happening between them to anyone. He also promised to tell her parents how badly she was performing in her studies and that she wasn't taking the lessons seriously. So she kept to herself and endured the abuse. One day, Uncle Teddy forcefully tried to have his way with her, but she pushed him away and ran to her room. She couldn't bear it anymore. She confided in her nanny, Auntie Bella, and told her she didn't like the way Uncle Teddy touched and spoke to her each time he came for their lesson. The nanny, not sure of what to do, just told her to report the matter to her parents. Mrs. Cathy was away on a trip to Dubai, but Mr. Audu was around, so Tari walked up to her dad one day to report Uncle Teddy. Daddy, I don't like the way Uncle Teddy talks to me and touches me whenever he comes for my lessons. I no longer want the lessons. Daddy, please ask him to stop coming. Mr. Audu, on hearing this, got very angry. You want to be useless forever? What is your problem, Tari? That man is only trying to help you, and you are now making things up just to make us stop your lessons. Why do you hate studying so much? Do you know how much your mom and I are paying for these private lessons? You just want to keep disgracing us. Don't you ever say this kind of nonsense to me again. You will continue that lesson, whether you like it or not. Tari cried to her room. One day, during their lesson, Auntie Bella informed Tari and her teacher, Uncle Teddy, that she was going to the market and would return in about an hour's time, just before the end of Tari's class for the day. Tari was so scared of being left totally alone with Uncle Teddy. With her eyes, she begged Auntie Bella not to leave the house, but the young lady needed to leave so she would meet fresh items in the market. Few minutes after Auntie Bella left, Uncle Teddy began touching Tari again, and this time he did it more aggressively. She tried to break away from his grip, but her little hands were no match for his huge frame. In split seconds, he tore her dress like they were paper. She tried to scream, but he covered her mouth with his palms and warned her not to try anything silly, else he would kill her. He was just about to have his way with her when Auntie Bella unexpectedly barged into the house with two able-bodied young men behind her. The two men immediately grabbed Uncle Teddy and gave him the beating of his life, while Auntie Bella helped Tari, who was crying uncontrollably, and tried to soothe her. It wasn't long, the police arrived. They put Uncle Teddy in handcuffs and took him away. At the station, he tried to deny the accusations, but Auntie Bella came prepared. She presented to the police a mobile phone which she had placed strategically in the house before she went out. She had turned on the phone's camera and put it on video mode, and it had captured everything Uncle Teddy did to Tari. She didn't go to the market. Her leaving the house was a ploy to catch Uncle Teddy in the act. The two guys that she came back with to capture Uncle Teddy were her friends. She had planned everything with them, and they had called the police before making their move. Mr. Audu and his wife, Mrs. Cathy, couldn't believe their ears and eyes when they got to the police station. They were humiliated, but humiliation was nothing compared to the guilt of discovering they had left their daughter in the lion's den, thinking they were doing her some good. They just couldn't forgive themselves for letting their daughter go through such trauma and abuse because of them. Mrs. Cathy and her husband, Mr. Audu, hugged Tari tightly and wept. They begged her to forgive them. They also thanked Auntie Bella for exposing the evil teacher. Uncle Teddy was charged to court, and that was when it was discovered that he had not only abused Tari, he had done the same to a few other girls in Tari's school, but none of them had spoken up until then. Fear had tied their tongues like ropes. He was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment and his teaching license was revoked. Tari's parents became more involved in her studies. Her mom employed more hands in her business so she could have more time for her daughter. Mr. Audu also cut down on his work hours and spent more time with his family. They took Tari for several counseling sessions, and little by little she began to get over the trauma. She also surprisingly started doing better in her academics, and her parents were super proud. If you're a parent watching this, please create ample time for your children. Do not leave parenting your kids to school teachers alone. A child's academic growth is the collective responsibility of both parents and the school. And if you are a teacher, don't be like Uncle Teddy. Do your job professionally and respect your students. My name is IJ of Auntie IJ's Tales, and if you can still hear my voice, it means you watched this video to the end. You are the real VVIP. Thank you so much for your support. If you're a first time viewer, don't go yet. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. You're the reason I am still here. Keep sticking with me and see you in my next video.